Hi, today we are going to be making something that I really have no business to know about, um, but because my wife is Puerto Rican, um, one of the things that she really enjoys and that she's looked for a number of times when we're at the store is something called, I'm going to butcher this, pan Sobao, which again, I know I butchered that. I am in no way, shape, or form Latina or Latino, um, but my wife loves it. It's a kind of sweetened bread that Puerto Ricans um, favor and make. And my wife uh, is half Puerto Rican. We tried it for the first time, found it at Walmart of all places, a few months ago, and I made it for her and turned out very, very well. So we're going to make it today because it was incredibly popular. Um, the first thing that we need to do is bloom our yeast. And to do that, I like to make sure it has a nice warm place to be. So I take my mixing bowl that I'm going to be using and I run it under hot water so that my yeast is not going to end up going into a cold bowl and sit there. That up a little bit more. Excellent. Into this bowl, I am doubling the recipe, but what we have here is 4 tablespoons of sugar that is going in to feed our yeast, and then 2 packages of active dry yeast. Um, ooh, look at that. I make a mess. That's okay. And then we need half a cup of that really hot water. By really hot, or 1.5 cups of that really hot water, and by really hot I mean between 105 and 110 degrees. I measured the temperature of the water prior to this video starting. We're going to just give that a mix because we want everybody to dissolve. Riley, if you want to take a look in the bowl, see what that kind of looks like as it's dissolving. Now, one of the main features of making this bread, or pretty much any kind of bread, is waiting. And we are going to wait 15 solid minutes for this to bloom, and then we'll be back. All right, 15 minutes come, 15 minutes gone, and that is what bloomed yeast looks like. It has sucked up a lot of the water and it's coming back to life. Spooky. So, next up, we need to add shortening and salt, which are in here, and flour. Now, for the shortening, we need 2 tablespoons normally. I've doubled it, so it is 4 tablespoons of shortening, and it's 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And then I doubled it, so it's 1.5 teaspoons of salt in this. That is going directly into our bubbly mixture here. Yes, enjoy that. Enjoy the fat and salt. Now, the thing that makes this just a little bit more difficult than a lot of other recipes is that the amount of flour is going to vary based on any number of conditions. The recipe calls for 2.5 cups, which would be 5 in our case. But it also says to start with a single cup of flour in the mixing bowl. So we're going to go with 2 because, again, doubled the recipe. So yes, weighing would be better. I'm still not going to because I just don't want to. That is 1 cup of flour. And that makes 2 cups of flour. Now, from here on out, we're going to be adding our flour in 1/4 cup increments so that we can better maintain control. We have our dough hook. if it will cooperate and go onto the mixer. Thank you. I'm going to start this out nice and slow, nice and slow. We want this to start to come together into a ball of dough, and it's not going to happen quickly. Um, and with just that amount of flour, it's probably not going to happen at all. See, it's just turning into kind of a soup. But I'm going to give it a minute. Well, not even a minute. Give it a few more seconds. See what happens. We're going to add another quarter cup of flour. I didn't say it before, and I don't think I did. This is bread flour because we're making bread. Bread flour allows for the formation of more lovely, lovely gluten, which is something that is definitely necessary when making bread. Now I'm going to stop this, scrape everybody down. I really start to agitate this myself because I'm impatient and we're not moving fast enough with just a dough hook. That's 1/4 of a cup. And another 1/4 of a cup of bread flour. Things that influence whether or not or how much flour that you need are things like the weather and humidity, and the fact that the skies opened up not too long ago around here and started pouring means that there's going to be definitely more moisture in the air right now. So that is going to probably require more flour. All right, we're going for our 1/3 1/4 of a cup of flour. So we're now up to 2 3/4 of a cup of flour in the mixing bowl. Starting ever so slowly to get the nice consistency that we want. And actually starting to form a dough. Almost there. So 1 more 1/4 cup, taking us up to a total of 3 cups of bread flour. I think this might be it. This might be the one that allows us to really start kneading, which means using the dough hook and not me. Oh, so close. Not quite a ball yet. All right, that's fine. We can do another one. All right, another 1/4 of a cup. Whew. Tell you, this starts to get hard on the arm. All right. Getting a good shot of that, kid?
Yes.
Excellent. That's what we want to see. Nice doughy consistency. All right. Stuff off of my spatula. Grab my dough hook again. Here. Dough hook, you can help. Take some of this off. All right. Back on. Let's give the dough hook a chance to actually do some work. Never, ever, ever add flour to a mixing bowl while the mixer is going on medium or high, unless you really want to make a mess. And I don't. It's another quarter cup of flour. It takes us to what, 3.5? The last time I did this, I didn't need nearly as this much flour. But, as I said, rain is falling, humidity is up. Whoops, too fast. Okay, come on. So close. Okay, so I keep doing that. I'm so used to locking the thing that I lock it whenever I go to open it. All right. Sticky. Very sticky at this point. Still needs more time to knead and is going to need some more flour. This, unfortunately, is not a precise art because we want to make sure that we're getting as much as we need, but not over drying bread. All right. Rinse my hands again. That is something that every cook and baker needs to do frequently. Rinse and wash your hands. All right, we're gonna add another quarter of a cup of flour, taking this up to 4 cups. Slowly mixing together, ever so slowly. And then put the spurs to it. I don't know if you guys can hear that thudding noise. That is the sound that you're looking for when you are kneading dough in a stand mixer. Nice thudding sound of it whacking the sides of the bowl. We do have a nice ball of dough going, finally. We're going to let this go for a couple of minutes just to build up some gluten. But you can see that most of it is off the sides and it has really come together into its own thing. And that is most definitely what we're looking for whenever we're making bread. Okay.
Making a nice beat there.
It did. It did. Now we're going to do something a little old school, and we're going to knead this by hand for a little bit. Just for those folks who may not have a stand mixer at home. First thing you want to do is make sure wherever you're going to knead has a layer of flour down on it. Because, as I said, this stuff's sticky. Very sticky to begin with. Ooh. Definitely likes sticking to me. All right, almost there. You may ask yourself, why is he not using the spatula? Because I forgot about it. Saw it out of the corner of my eye after I had my hands covered in this yick. So, easy way to get rid of it though, with a little bit of flour. Thing pulls right off. All right, so grab a little bit more flour for the top. We're going to need trying to get this to a point where it is not quite as sticky as it was when it came out of that bowl. Don't need to go too far. We don't need to. I gotta stop saying need when I am trying to describe kneading. It confuses the sentence. Oh, goodness. But we don't need to go crazy while kneading. We just want to make sure that we are building up that gluten, getting the bread dough nice and worked so that even when there is no flour on the dough, it isn't completely clinging to your hand. It's moving very well, but it is not clinging to me. This is the old stuff that was sticking. So at this point, we have a nice lump of dough ready to go. We're going to form this into a ball. Like that. I'm going to come back here, scrape out everything that's in this that isn't included, because we're going to continue to use our lovely little mixing bowl. As a place to rest the dough. Real quick, work that in. Okay. Olive oil in the bowl. Olive oil on the top so that we do not allow this to dry out. Get everybody nice and covered. Okay, we're going to cover this with a tea towel, and we're going to let it sit for 45 minutes so that it can come to life and double in size. See you back here in 45. Okay, 45 minutes come, 45 minutes has gone, and dang, look how big that is. So this next step, we're going to flour our surface again. And we're going to turn this bad boy out and punch it down. Then we are going to roll into a ball. We're going to grab our towel. We're going to cover it back up, and we're going to come back in 5 minutes. And we're back. 5 minutes have gone by. We're going to punch this bad boy down again. We're going to knead it for a few minutes, because that's what the recipe calls for. Some more kneading of the dough after it's had a chance to stretch, only for 1 or 2 minutes. But after we're done, guess what we're going to do? We're going to rest it again. This time for 15 more minutes. The resting is important for this to make sure everybody's hydrated, make sure everything is ready to go. And also it helps with the texture of the finished product, which is usually pretty light, fluffy in the middle, with that hint of sweetness that comes from the sugar that we added. All right. So one more time, make this into a nice ball. And we cover. And we'll be back in 15 this time. Okay, we're back. Huh. And it's grown again. Since I doubled the recipe, we are cutting this bad boy in half for the next part. Next part, is to roll this, each of these, into logs. So, start with the ball. We just roll it back and forth with gentle pressure. You do not have to go hard. Gentle pressure will get you to where you need to be. Back and forth. This is also the point, if you don't want big loaves of bread, that you could cut it into even smaller pieces and roll those into logs. Or I guess rolls. Roll them into rolls. That could be a thing, right?
Have to check with mom.
Well, yeah, I'd have to get approval from our resident half Rican, so that I did not cause a incident. Because heaven forbid I should do that. Once you have it rolled out into log form, we're looking for about 12 inches, and thankfully this sheet has a guide on it. So I need another inch. So close. So close. All right. That'll have to do. It's like a foot long at Subway. It's not actually a foot long. And we take this and we place it on a parchment lined baking sheet. And we cover it. We place it somewhere warm. And then we come back to the other one. This into a ball. And we start to roll. See, this whole thing is not difficult. It's not even a ton of ingredients. It's fairly easy to make. The only true issue is time. These take a good bit of time to come together, and a lot of that is waiting and being patient. And I know that that is very difficult for most people, especially nowadays. Yes, Harley, I see the thumbs up out of the corner of my eye. I understand that you are not precisely patient, but it is honestly worth it. The reason that I'm making two of these, one to have with dinner and one to save and allow to go just the lightest bit stale so that it can become French toast. We did that the last time with one of these, and oh my lord, was it good! All right, so we have ourselves another log, another piece of parchment paper, and another towel. 30 minutes. 30 minutes of sitting and thinking about what it's done, and then it's going to go into an oven at 400 degrees, but I will see you guys back here in 30. Okay, 30 minutes have gone by. Jiminy Christmas, look how big that thing got. Oh, Lordy B, that's going to be a fun one. Okay, so these are going into a 400 degree oven, top rack, where they will get to bake for 30 minutes. That's right, taking another break of 30 minutes. Okay, so it hasn't actually been 30 minutes, it's been about 25, but as Toucan Sam told us, always follow your nose. And I could smell this throughout the house. It is time for the bread to come out of the oven. I mean, good Lord, that's pretty. So what we're going to do is we are going to carefully thunk it. Makes a nice sound. Sounds vaguely hollow. And it's going immediately onto a cooling rack. Hollow-ish sound. That's it, guys. From here on, allow the bread to cool down. Do not cut into it fresh out of the oven. The steam will hurt. Allow this to cool down for at least 10 to 15 minutes. I know more waiting. I know. It's painful. Trust me, it's a good idea to let it go. I'll post the thumbnail of what it looks like on the inside. If you like this, please subscribe. I'm trying to do these every week. Speaking of, I'll see you next week.